The following video is in reference to the Altaro backup product and would like to discuss a little bit about the product itself, how it functions, why I feel it is a good choice, and show you a few of the screens that kind of give you a little bit of a background about why it is such a solid solution. First thing I might discuss is the server that we're looking at is my own server. So we're going to look at the Hyper-V data center environment. This is what I call my Hyper-V core, and my Hyper-V core is a server that runs virtual servers, and that's really its main task. It doesn't actually have any data stored on this physical box itself, but all it does is it manages these virtual servers. So I'm going to open up the console here, and you'll see in my environment I have two servers running. My domain controller, which is my master box, and then my MCS TS box, which is actually what also stores all of my files, including my QuickBooks program, my QuickBooks data files, and all of my Word and Excel. So my entire environment is running on that server here, and you can see how much RAM it has and how long it's been running and such to know that everything is working correctly. The Hyper-V environment is perfect for Altaro because Altaro is, I think, kind of engineered their product to work within a Hyper-V environment. One of the most common virtualization products you will see is VMware, but VMware can be a little more expensive, a little more complex. Their licensing costs a little bit more. And so if we were doing a VMware environment, we may look at some other options, but I do feel that Altaro is really putting a lot of energy and effort into the Hyper-V virtualization environment, which is what most of my customers are using at this point in time. Let's open up the Altaro VM backup console and let's look at a few things here. First thing I'd like to show you is both the offsite backups and the local backups. So you can look at when it took an offsite copy. You can also look at when it took a local copy, and it will show you these green statuses indicating that, yes, everything is working correctly. You'll also notice up here deduplication and compression. So there is 800 gigabytes worth of data, and through deduplication, it has reduced that data size to 428 gigabytes. Talk a little bit about deduplication, which is, typically a process that eliminates redundant copies of data and reduces storage overhead. And they ensure that only one instance of data is retained on the storage media, and then those redundant data blocks are replaced with a pointer to the unique data copy. So it's a way of reducing the backup size. And when you get into compression's meaning, if you look at like a Techopedia explanation, it enables sending a data object or file quickly over a network or the internet in optimizing physical storage resources. Data compression has wide implementation in computing services, just designed to make the file smaller so that you're not having to send such large amounts of data. So it's one thing that Altaro does really well, and I didn't know a lot about this product. I used another product that was probably about 5 times the money that this is, and it did deduplication, but I didn't see it do any more deduplication or compression than Altaro does, so I really feel good about it. Company as a whole, Altaro, I think they are based in another country, but they have a very, very strong United States presence. Their support is such that you can pick up the phone and call them. I think it's a lot of times easier to chat with them and maybe drop them an email, and they've been there for me. I wouldn't say they're absolutely responsive where I pick up the phone and 5 minutes later they're doing a remote. It's not quite that responsive, but you're actually not paying a lot either for that support. You're basically paying more for the updates and some limited support. And so I think it does everything we needed to, and most everything I've needed to do I've been able to figure out on my own. When I very first started using it, I had a few more errors than I have recently, so they've done a very nice job of making sure that it's stable and that they're making good decisions and they're not making real rash decisions and changing the interface overnight. So we can look here at some other settings if we want to. We can look at how often it's going to clean the backups up, and we can assign these servers to use these retention policies. And so here's something that, doesn't hurt to do. It's going to automatically clean those up for us based on those retention policies. So I can drag them into either one. I could put them in here. I could put them in every month if I wanted to. So I can really change that around at whatever suits my needs. And I'm not having to build some configuration from scratch, and it kind of eliminates the need for, say I'm doing something incorrectly. It's going to help kind of keep that clean and make sure that it does what I need it to. Again, I can build notifications here, so it will let me know if the backups were successful. It'll send me any error messages that it needs to. I can restore individual files. I could install a virtual disk, which is what the Hyper-V environment uses to run an entire server. This is a lot of power because this has allowed me to basically restore some servers in the event that I needed to in their entirety. We can test and verify the backups if we want to, and that's going to just make sure that they're working correctly, so that if we would do a restore, we would have a pretty good assumption that they're going to be working correctly. Really, you can get to just all aspects of the management console within the Altaro backup product. So let's look at kind of what our main discussion is here today. Let's look at our local backup, so you can see that I've got an external hard drive that is called B, and it is mounted there, and there's 1.32 terabytes of free space available. And then I've got my local backup. If I want to look at the schedule, I can go down here to schedule settings, and I can see how often I'm backing this up. In particular, I back up every night at 2100 hours, and I follow with an offsite copy on these days. I could add Sunday in there if I wanted to. The pricing model for giving you the offsite backups, that's one thing that's very hard for me to determine. I'm still getting comfortable with Azure and the costs and how you break those down. They base it on what kind of storage data you have, how often you are writing to that data, so how much bandwidth you're transferring on a daily basis or maybe on a weekly basis, and then they're determining that based on how much storage you have online. I think you could probably do an online backup. Like in my environment, you might be talking $15 a month, maybe even less than that. It's very, very affordable, on up to maybe, say, $100 a month. But I think you're talking very reasonable amount of costs. The Altaro backup product, if you were going to look at the pricing of that product, I want to say that the license that we need that supports both local backups and cloud-based backups, which they all naturally are going to support, the cloud-based or the local backups. The cloud-based product I think is $875 for your one-time subscription cost that you have, and then every year you have an annual 25% renewal cost. So I think it's very, very affordable and really does what you need it to, and keeps that pricing model something that everybody can afford. And I've done many, many restores now on Altaro, typically in solutions where people have maybe inadvertently infected themselves and have needed to restore the old server. It's really done really well. So let's look real quick at this pricing model just to give you a definitive. So the one that we needed, this Unlimited Plus Edition, we do have to have the Plus Edition in order to back up all the servers and back them up to the cloud. So $875 is a pretty reasonable pricing. If you cost that out and based on your online storage, you're talking about a very affordable solution that anyone can use that should do what you need it to do. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at support, SUPPORT, at helpfromkansas.com. Have a great day.